My family bought Sandy Hill feedlot about 9 years ago, and the feedlot was originally started in the 1950s. So a lot of the standards have really increased over the time in the cattle feeding industry. Some of the things that were really important for us is to make comfortable places for the cattle to stay. So they live in pens with, they basically are normally standing on a dirt floor. And so we wanted to make sure that we had the best places for them to stand. We've most recently invested in roller compacted concrete, which is, it's basically like a concrete floor that the cattle can stay on rather than standing on dirt. And it's been awesome for cattle comfort. They are able to get out of the mucky pens when we have lots of rain, and makes it a lot easier for us to haul their manure out of the pens on a timely basis, and we're having a better quality manure because we don't haul out dirt along with the manure, and so it's kind of a win-win for us and the cattle. At our feedlot, we will take the manure and sometimes we'll compost it. So we put it in piles and then we turn it and let all the weed seeds and everything break down as the manure heats up, and then we will haul it out onto lands to grow crop. And sometimes we'll haul it right out of the pens, right into our fields, and mix it with the dirt. And it helps us grow all the different crops we grow, like corn, barley, wheat, potatoes, and alfalfa. Some of the crops get fed back to the cattle. Some of them will grow crops like potatoes where they'll go get turned into French fries. At our feedlot, we're kind of special in a way in that we're able to get potatoes that come from the local French fry plant. These are potatoes that may not make the grade to be turned into French fries. Sometimes we actually get French fries that they might have a production problem and aren't able to package them. And rather than take them to a landfill, we'll haul them to our cattle and they get to eat them. And it's an awesome feed. There's great nutritional value. So the cattle love them, and it actually makes a really nice feed because it's quite moist. And when we feed the barley or wheat that we're feeding our cattle, the moisture from the potatoes just makes kind of a nice porridge for them, and they perform really well on it. Yeah, one thing that's really improved in feedlots in southern Alberta is that we're doing a lot better job holding on to the rainwater that comes down on our feedlots. By law, we're required to contain all the water that falls onto our property and contain it into catch basins. So at the feedlot that we're at here, it's really sandy soil and there's a high water table. So typically you'd use a clay-based liner to build your catch basins. Here we've invested in a synthetic liner, like a plastic liner, so that when the water runs off of the pens, it goes into this catch basin that has a plastic lining. The water will sit there, and when the time is right, we'll pump it through our irrigation pivots, and that will water the crops that we're growing. There's a lot of nutrients in that water too, so it's great fertilizer and moisture for the crops. It's imperative that we keep our waterways clean, so our job is to hold the water and just use it on our fields to grow our crops.
My name is Rob Van Diemen. You're currently at Van Diemen Pultry Farm. The great things that we're currently doing in innovation is for about a year and a half we do have solar panels on our barn and cutting down on electricity use from the grid and sending it back if we have too much. So carbon footprint has been cut down by about 35% in the last 20 years. Biggest reason for that is our efficiency in feed consumption. We are making feed every single day. We are getting supplements from the feed mill that's regulated by HACCP programs. We are adding our own wheat to it in order to keep the cost down on A, on the feed, and B, on transportation. We have to have land in order to offset our manure, and at the same time from the land we are getting grain in order to feed to our birds. So about 25% of the diet is coming from our own land, and it's 85% grain based. 20 years ago, feed conversions of 2 kilos per kilo of meat. Currently we are as close as 1.5 kilos. So our carbon footprint is definitely getting a lot better despite to what people might think.
When I started out with an irrigation farm, and we started out as a contour farm, contour ditches, and made holes in the ditches and you flooded the field. That was when I started. Now we have a computer screen with pivots on it, and we can stop and start pivots right from the computer, and it's communicating with the pivot point, and we don't even get our feet wet, so to speak. It came a long ways from flood irrigation, with contour ditchings, to hand move pipes, to wheel line pipes, to pivots. As of today, they're computerized. The guy in the shop, he knows when to stop the pivot and when to start the pivot, or he wants to put it on 5% or he wants to put it at 100%. That's the ideal place right now. It's unreal compared to what I used to. You walk through the mud, and it was a big job. As of lately, the pivots, they're all low pressure pivots, and at one time we had above the pipe sprinklers, what they call impact sprinklers, and they used to waste water through evaporation. Now all we have, most good farmers have what they call low pressure pivots, and the water is dropped below the pipe. Low pressure at 35 pounds rather than 60 pounds before. And there's very little evaporation, it just close to the ground. It's a big, big difference. A lot less power, 35 pounds pressure rather than 60 or 70 pound pressure. So there is a tremendous change, not just in the power use, but also water use. Probably do with less water, more acres. I should tell you, pivots never stop. When you order the water from the ditch writer, he puts in an order and says there's got to be so many feet of water in this ditch, and you have to use the water. You can't just say, well, sorry, I'm going to go to bed tonight. No. That's day and night. But that's where the computerized communication between the pivot point and the thing is nice, because you can get up at 4 o'clock and look at it going. All you have to do is maybe stick your head outside the bed or something. It's a major, major difference. That's a big change. The Lethbridge area is only good for 14 inches of water a year. That's including the snow and runoff and all. So if it wasn't for the irrigation, we wouldn't have any feedlots. We wouldn't have any feeding operations. We wouldn't have any chicken. And plus the row crop end of it. If you go and look drive by the table, there's a huge sugar factory there, right? So if it wasn't for irrigation, there wouldn't be no beets. There wouldn't be no beets, and there wouldn't be no row crops. The benefit of that irrigation is just endless. Before they shut the water down, they give you a warning. They say the water is going to be off on October the 1st, say. That means you have a huge dugout that you keep the water there for all winter, okay? Because if you didn't have that big dugout and you didn't have the water, well, there's no use feeding cattle, or feeding anything for that matter, until you have water. Water is a big thing. It'll be a different country altogether.